Uh, the person next to him is Parth J. Shah. He's the dean and co-founder of ISPP. He was the co-founder of Center for Civil Society and has been involved in policy making through both guiding the government in the policy formulation stage. So, for instance, some of his ideas have been incorporated into the new education policy. You've also got on the side Vijay Kelkar, who's the head of the Academic Advisory Council of ISPP and was also in the civil services and has actually seen how policy making works at the government level. The next to him is you've got Subhashish Gangopadhyay, who was previously the founding dean of ISPP. He's also been the advisor to the finance minister of the country during the 2008 crisis. So, who better than him to be teaching our students economics? Next to him is Vidya Shah, who's from Edelweiss Foundation, has been involved in the corporate side of things, and is also a member of the ISPP board. And in that capacity, advises us in terms of how to make the curriculum more relevant to the private sector and other organizations. Lastly, we've got Shekhar Shah. He's again a senior economist in the country who's worked extensively with the government and brings in an academic lens to the programs. Next, please. So, just to quickly take you through some of what ISPP offers, is that we, of course, based out of New Delhi, which gives us the benefit of being able to participate in a number of different conferences, invite guests and eminent personalities to the campus. That's a clear advantage that ISPP offers. We've also launched 7 programs. For today's session, we'll primarily be focusing on the 1 year program as well as the Lokniti program. So these are two of the offerings that we have. Uh, we were set up originally in 2019. We welcomed the first batch in 2019. And since then, across the various programs that we offer, we've had 1,900 alums complete the program. One of the things that's been very unique about the school has been that the alumni community has been very close knit and very closely associated with the school. So if you do end up joining ISPP, you'll find that almost every other day you'll have some alum at the campus engaging, discussing, and so on. What this also ensures is that we've got constant feedback on how we need to adapt a curriculum to the ever evolving needs of the public policy space. During the program, you will be mentored by a number of fantastic faculty members, some of whom we discussed in the previous slide. But almost all of these faculty members have had years and years, if not decades, of experience in the public policy space, either having been members of the government or having served as advisors or having worked on the other side of the table as members of corporations or other civil society organizations advising the government and working with the government. Our student community is also fairly diverse, where we've had students from almost 22 states and I would say almost every single union territory as well. So the student community has been pretty diverse, and what it helps is that it brings together a diverse set of ideas to coalesce into this one single unit of the ISPP campus. So it allows for a number of fantastic interactions, and you often have conversations where somebody will say, yeah, well, this will work in your state, but it's not really going to work in my state. So that as a policymaker, what that should immediately get you thinking is, well, okay, what do I need to do to change my policy in such that it works in all situations? We've had partnerships with over 50 plus organizations. These could be these could be corporates, governments, or civil society organizations. And we'll discuss how some of these things come into fruition later on. As part of ISPP's career services, we've engaged over 150 organizations, and we'll also discuss a bit more about that. Lastly, the faculty network that you'll be working with is fairly global. So we've got academics from across different continents, but who have worked on Indian policy making. So what you'll actually be getting is an expertise of people who are working in their space for years, and they're based out of different places. So they're bringing the best of theory from there, but they're applying it to the Indian context. So that makes the programs always relevant for an Indian audience. Next, please. As I mentioned earlier, we've had 50 plus partnerships. Some of our partnerships are with, of course, the Harris School of Public Policy. This partnership is is across multiple domains. However, one of the ways that it gets operationalized is through the Harris Lecture Series, which is offered to our scholars who are enrolled in the 1 year program. So, if you enroll in the 1 year program, you also get an opportunity to earn a certificate from the Harris School of Public Policy at no additional cost, provided you're able to attend all the lectures conducted by members from the University of Chicago faculty community, and that you're able to submit the assignment in time. So in the previous years, we've had the Nobel Prize winner Michael Kramer, come and take part in the series. So he's had lectures with the students. Just yesterday on Friday, we had a lecture by Shruti Bhimsaria, who's the Director Strategy and Policy at Epic India, come in to take a lecture. So that's the kind of network you'll be exposed to as part of the partnership with the Harris School. We've also got a partnership with the Public Affairs Forum of India. It's the largest organized forum of public policy units of corporates, both Indian and foreign. What this does is that our scholars get invited to the annual forum that is held by PAFI every year, and so this is sometime generally about October, in the second half of October, and it's built into the curriculum. So as part of the forum, you'll be exposed to a number of corporates and organizations discussing public policy issues, and also have the opportunity to network with individual policy leaders from the corporate side of things. Lastly, we've got an ongoing partnership with the Capacity Building Commission, one of our many partnerships with the government, where as part of the partnership, we are developing case studies for the Capacity Building Commission in order to train the civil services. So that's one of the advantages that ISPP offers in terms of its strong linkages with the governments across the country. One thing that I did miss out and in mentioning with regards to the Harris School of Public Policy is that just this week we've expanded the range of offerings where alums from the Indian School of Public Policy will be given full funding to attend a Master of Public Policy program or some other master's program from the Harris School of Public Policy. So if you graduate from ISPP, you get the opportunity to participate in a master's program at the Harris School with full funding. This is, of course, provided you are able to get into the program. But if you're able to get into the program at Harris School, your funding would be entirely taken care of over there. Next, please. So the 1 year program begins on 22nd July with the orientation week. As part of the program, what you'll be going through are about seven terms of 7 weeks each, where the courses begin with some introductory courses in economics, statistics, critical thinking, design thinking, and structures of government. And after that, we'll move on to some of the more specific sciences of public policy, such as behavior change, politics of public policy, and also we'll be introducing domains. At ISPP, we believe that the future of Indian policy making will lie in 7 specific domains. These are education, environment, health, infrastructure, technology, urbanizations, and food systems and agriculture. So you'll have specific trainings in these 7 domains to become, in some sense, experts in those domains. So what you'll be doing is you have a basic public policy training, but then in those 3 domains, you'll be better aware than the rest of the policy community. And again, these trainings are being conducted by members who have worked in these domains for years. So for instance, the urbanization domain taught by our is taught by our former dean O.P. Agarwal. As part of this, he's from the civil services and was in fact the author of the National Transport Policy. So just think of the implications as to who better than the person who wrote the National Transport Policy to teach you urbanization. Similarly, for health domain, we have Professor Reddy, who was previously with the Population Foundation of India. So he'll be teaching you the various intricacies of healthcare policy making. And the list of faculty members that ISPP offers across these domains goes on. And one of the advantages is that because of a firm belief in theory working alongside practice, a lot of these courses and sessions bring in outside experts where the faculty feels that an outside expertise might be needed in a particular session. They call in guest lecturers to participate in those sessions. So that's another fantastic opportunity that is available to you. Now, of course, as part of this one-year program, you'll also have numerous career opportunities to participate in. These would be, of course, the immersive learning engagements as well as internships and so on, which we'll get to in a little while. Next, please. The Lokniti program is the second program that is offered by ISPP. This is a 16-week part-time program which is conducted primarily online with 2 in-person visits to Delhi. The starting date is 22nd February. In this program, the emphasis is on working with data and behavior change tools. So the courses will be conducted in the evenings on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, with one in-person meeting scheduled sometime around the 4th week of the program. So it would be somewhere end of March or so. And then one more in-person meeting scheduled at the end of the program, which is about 8th June. Now, both these meetings will be held in Delhi and they'll be entirely funded. So your stay and accommodation will be taken care of, and you'll get to visit in-person training at the ISPP campus. Now, of course, the advantage is this program is an extremely amazing opportunity for those who have worked for a few years and who want to who want to understand the different sectors in public policy making. So it's a good introductory course in policy making in that arena. You'll of course be taught by a variety of faculty members with fantastic experiences. So for instance, the course on economics and politics of policy making is going to be taught by the UP State Information Commissioner, who's previously served in the civil services. So just think of it in terms of who better than a former bureaucrat to teach you the economics and politics of policy making. The another course as part of this offering is the project monitoring and impact evaluation course, which is conducted by members from Pratham. Pratham is of course the Pratham and Asar, which of course come out with the Asar education report. So think of it in terms of the people who are actually undertaking monitoring and evaluation exercises on the ground. They'll be working with you to train you and teach you in how do you monitor and work on impact evaluation. Next, please. Now, of course, as I've mentioned, so we've had about 1,900 alums who've graduated from various programs, and they've gone on to pursue extremely diverse careers. A lot of scholars in the one-year program end up joining consulting firms or alternately philanthropy organizations. We've also increasingly seen industry organizations such as I mentioned previously, PAFI, or for that matter, IAMAI, which is the Indian Association for Internet and Mobile. And so they'll also be one of the potential organizations that come to the campus and engage with ISPP in that manner. Our scholars often tend to stay within the public policy sector after graduating from the program. So in almost all cases, they are working with a government unit, maybe as part of a consulting firm, which has been hired to work with a certain ministry. So for instance, during the COVID pandemic, the Ministry of Health actually hired a number of our scholars to work in the COVID war room. And so a lot of the programs and schemes that were developed to tackle the pandemic were being created by scholars from ISPP. So that's an indication of just the amount of or the kind of opportunities that come the way to our scholars. And next, please. Lastly, as I mentioned previously, some of the organizational engagements that we have at ISPP is, of course, one is the TN policy, where we have heads of organizations come to the campus and engage in small room meetings with our scholars. So you can have, say, at any point in time, we've had previously policy leaders from Google and Reliance come in. So they'll be engaging with, say, about 10 to 20 scholars, depending on how many people are interested in that policy domain. Just think of it in terms of a senior policy leader or senior policy profile coming and engaging with just 10 or 20 people. And given the fact that we are in Delhi, it allows us to invite a lot of different profiles. So as I mentioned here, Google, Reliance, McKinsey, Samhita, just some of the organizations that we've engaged with. You can get a bigger list on the website, which lists all the 150 plus organizations that we've been engaging with, be it as part of the TN policy or alternately the immersive learning experience engagements, where as part of the ILE, our scholars are provided opportunities to work on live policy projects or programs with organizations. So, for instance, you could have Niti Aayog or APCO come to ISPP and offer a particular policy issue or project to work with. We'll have our scholars who will work with the particular organization to try to understand what the policy problem is and then work to solve it. So, at a very early stage in your policy career, you are exposed to opportunities where you get to work with organizations of that kind on their live projects. So, these are actually problems that they're dealing with or that have been shared to them by their clients. So, you're actually engaging in professional problem solving from a very early stage in your career. Lastly, as I mentioned, the advantage of being in Delhi is that you get invited to numerous conferences. So one I had mentioned earlier, of course, PAFI. This is a photo from, at the bottom of the screen is a photo from the PAFI National Forum, where we get invited every year. So our scholars go and attend the forum. This is a gathering where we have different seminar sessions by policy leaders and panel discussions by policy leaders and ministers. So this year, in fact, we had a session by Smriti Irani and so on. In the previous years, we've of course had on campus, we've invited Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who's the Minister of State for Electronics and IT. We've also invited Shashi Tharoor to the campus. So these are the kind of opportunities you'll get by being a member of the ISPP community. Given the fact that, of course, we are based in Delhi and we are able to tap into our policy network to ensure that we are able to create such opportunities and engagements for our scholars. Thank you. With that, we'll end the PPT presentation. And if you have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the chat. So we've received a few questions here. Is there a ceiling on financial aid offered to candidates, like up to 50% of tuition fee or more or less? I'll request Manu, who's the head of admissions, to take that question.
So, as such, there is no upper limit or lower limit in terms of what kind of fee waiver you can receive. So, we have a separate financial aid committee which will evaluate your application. And I would request all of the candidates who are looking to avail financial aid, they have to be very careful and diligent in terms of providing information along with all the supporting documents, because it's a very objective process and every information that you share is being carefully evaluated by the committee, and on the basis of that we try to award the best possible fee waiver that we can. So yes, there is no lower limit or upper limit, but having said that, you need to provide all the information along with supporting documents very carefully. So there is one more question that I saw on chat regarding the financial aid. So I'll also address that. So in case if any of your parents do not have that PAN card, don't worry. Just upload the PAN card of your father and any other earning member in your family. So that will do. So don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you, Manu. We'll move to the next question, which is I have prepared for the civil services and currently engaged in my own startup and have about 12 years of work ex in the retail sector. Uh, Kanaya, in that, my understanding would be that Lokniti would be a fantastic program for you. It will give you an introduction to policy making and also some of the tools which you may actually use in your day-to-day life, such as project monitoring and impact evaluation, along with figuring out tools and methods to how do you change consumer behavior through behavior change tools, which is offered as part of the program. And because you're currently working, this will also be a good program for you, since the classes happen on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday evenings. And so that ensures that you're able to balance your work alongside your requirements for the program. And generally, in a given week, you have a learning commitment of about 10 hours. This is about 4.5 hours of classes plus another, say, 4.5 hours of self study that might be offered. Um, right. Next question that we've got now is Kanhaiya Jha, who wants to inquire a bit about the career services. Ram, I would request if you could answer that on what are sort of the career services that ISPP offers.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad Urushi also joined. Urushi heads the placements. Urushi, can you hear me?
Yes, Ram.
Okay. So, I mean, the question is on, this, it's like an open question, placement and salary. Placement, see, career support is there at ISPP. And, as Dhruva mentioned in the presentation, there are a lot of networking opportunities that you get. Many industry professionals across the sectors keep visiting the campus, and scholars go and meet them. In that way, networking happens. And now there is, as I mentioned, career support is provided. We have, over the last 4 years, we have seen our alumni who have been working in different some interesting work they're doing with multiple organizations. They've joined business consulting firms, working for government and public sector space. They're actually working, and development consulting firms such as GDI Partners. Our scholars have been a part of it, and there are a few who are working with the Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Urban Affairs. So it's, I mean, it depends on your profile. Actually, it's just an open question you've asked. So certainly there is a career support that we offer, but it'll be great, and we'll be able to answer your question if we understand more about your profile, and we can have that discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, Ram. Another question that we had got is that what is the average placement we can expect after completion from the program?
So I'll just answer that. So the range is basically from somewhere around 7.5 to 17. But again, that's dependent on the kind of experience you have. So like if we talk about the current cohort, the experience range within the cohort is 0 to 13 years. So it has always been that diversified. So I mean, it can fall anywhere between that. Average mostly falls close to between 9 or 10 over the years. So that has been the salary range so far.
Thank you, Urushi. The next question that we've got on the screen now is I was Manu. Maybe this you may want to take. The question is I was initially instructed to submit the application by February, but the presentation states that the deadline is June 30th. Are there advantages to applying sooner rather than later?
Just give me a minute. Yes, so though we have a deadline, so as to say, but as we have mentioned in our website as well as in all the communication that is going through ISPP, that our admissions are on rolling basis. So I just want to clearly explain what does that mean. So we have limited number of seats, and our admission process is like our selection process is currently going on every week or every fortnightly, on every fortnightly basis. So every so in every 2 weeks when we are conducting a selection process, some seats are getting filled. So in case if one is applying later in the cycle, they will compete for the remaining number of seats that will be left. So A, competition will increase. B, the probability of you securing seat in the program will decrease. And third, for students who are planning to apply for financial aid, we call it assistantship now. So that will also decrease. So you have to keep all these factors in mind. So I would suggest, since you are interested in the program, so it is always advisable to apply early in the cycle, because in case if our seats are filled by the end of March, we will stop the admission cycle. So there is no point in delaying your application, and try to submit it as soon as possible in order to have the maximum probability of securing seat in the program.
Thank you, Manu. There's one more question connected to applications that is that I have submitted the application. When will the next written exam be held?
So the next written examination will held on next Sunday. And in fact, people who have submitted their application, an email is sent to all the applicants who have submitted their application till yesterday. So in case if you have submitted your application today, you will receive it. You will receive the mail next week. And in case if you have submitted it before that, I would strongly request you to check your spam folder once, because it is an auto-generated mail, and sometimes it goes to your spam folder as well.
Thank you. The next question, Urvashi and Ram, is for you. Is that it's again connected to the salaries. The question is, what is the average salary a fresher can bag who doesn't have graduation in political science or related subjects?
Sure. So as I already mentioned that the salary range is between 7 to 17, it's very difficult to say how much a fresher would be able to get. But based on our experience, it has fallen between 7 to 9.5. So that's usually what the range has been for a fresher without an experience.
Thank you.
Just to add,
yeah.
sorry, just to add to what Urushi said, again, it's evolving. Actually, if you ask, public policy, it's still niche in the country. However, interestingly, ever since ISPP has been established and launched, since the founding year and where we are right now, we have come a long way. I mean, we have seen opportunities coming in, diverse opportunities. There's nothing as with the tag of public policy as such, but within public policy, there are multiple roles. Where you get to do market analysis, you get to work as PR person, communications, and government relations person, and so various roles. It's all open. So once you are, once you start learning at a program that we are offering, you get to learn, you get to network, you get to meet a lot of profiles, senior profiles who are currently working in the public policy space. You will get that understanding, and then you'll be able to figure out where to go based on your profile.
Another question to do with corporate engagements and engagements with organizations is, could you tell us a bit about the ILEs? When does it take place, and does it run parallel to the program? A connected question to that is, what sort of internship and placement opportunities can we expect?
Yeah, so in terms of ILEs, like we've got different things that are covered in a single basket called immersive learning engagement. So one are the remote projects that our scholars do with different organizations. And basically the idea is that runs parallelly with your academic classes. And a scholar is expected to spend close to 10 hours per week with an external organizations remotely working on a particular policy project. So for that, I mean, for this year itself, we've got multiple projects. Like we've got projects from Chase, we've got projects from India Tech, we've got projects from CEW. So that are the kind of organizations who engage with us for remote projects. In addition to that, something which we have also introduced this year is a full-time internship program. So from May to July, first week is the period wherein the scholars would go this year for the full-time internship. This is actually the first year we have introduced it. So the kind of I mean, we've already started reaching out, but the kind of organizations and the opportunities we'll get, we'll only know in a month's time. But in terms of the kind of organizations which engage with us, I mean, they're very diversified. So we've got like close to 150 plus organizations who are within our network, and that includes organizations from social impact consulting firms. Like we've already closed placements with EY. And just relating to a previous question that was asked about the fresher experience. So in fact, one of our first people to be placed in the current batch has been a fresher with getting a maximum package within the 5 placed with EY. So sometimes what works and what doesn't work, I mean, it's a different ball game altogether as to how you are able to negotiate and how you are able to sell it. So I don't think that, I mean, that experience does play a role, but it's not a deal breaker or deal maker if you are able to convince that you have those skills and you've learned those skills over a year. So I don't think that it works that way. So coming back to in terms of the kind of organizations, like we've got social impact consulting firms like Dasra, Dalberg, Samhita, Samagra. Then we've got consulting firms, which are like corporate consulting firms. These are PwC, EY, KPMG. Then we've got think tanks like JPAL, Education Alliance, Economist, CEW coming to the campus. Then a lot of our scholars, especially with lesser experience, also go for these government fellowships, wherein, you know, they try their hands over this 1-year fellowships, and they also pay like decently within the band we've mentioned. And a lot of our scholars are actually going to industry associations also. So industry associations like IAMAI, like FICCI, like ASSOCHAM. So these are, I mean, like PAFI, like we've got a very good relationship with PAFI, as Dhruva has also mentioned in his slides. And a lot of our scholars go and work with these organizations in the advocacy work which they are doing. So that's the kind of organizations. And one change which we've seen from the founding year is that in last 2 years, we've got a lot of corporates hiring our scholars. So like we had Borosil Renewables hiring, then we had HP hiring our scholars. This year also a lot of engagement in terms of the remote projects also, and also in terms of internship is with the government affairs departments with these corporates. So I think the field, as Ram maybe would like to elaborate on it, but the field itself is expanding right now. There are newer organizations, there are newer avenues coming in, and we are also exploring it. But I mean, so far also it's like, if we look at the kind of organizations, it's very diversified, and depending on the interest of the scholars and depending on their experience, I mean, we are able to explore that. Thank you.
Thank you. Manu, one question that's come up multiple times is about the admissions process for the 1-year program as well as Lokniti. So if you could briefly summarize what the admission process is for both the programs.
Okay. So the admission to the Lokniti program happens on the basis of application review. So there are no other stages. So that is it. And for PDM program, we have 3 steps. Okay. So first stage of selection process is your application shortlisting of application. So in case if you meet the minimum eligibility criteria that we have also mentioned on our website, that if you have scored at least 50% in your undergrad, or if you do not have more than 4 years of gap between two education between education and your employment experience, then you are considered for the next round. Then we have a written round in which there are 2 sections. First section is of quant and second section is of qualitative, wherein we generally test English comprehension skills. In case if you are able to secure more than minimum 50% mark in each of the section, then you are moved to the final round of personal interview, where our panelists assess your suitability for the program, given your background and your aspirations in terms of why do you want to pursue public policy and how do you see your career shaping up after this program. In case if you have a basic understanding and clarity about it, then definitely you have good chances of securing admission of in the program. I hope you answered this question.
So, Manu, to even build on that question further, one of the questions that come up is that previously they used to have a GD and now it's only a personal interview. So, what is the difference there? The follow-up question to that is that we have to submit a statement of purpose. What should we be writing in that statement of purpose?
So I think statement of purpose is basically why do you want to pursue public policy in the first place? So remember the importance of statement of purpose. First of all, it becomes important for us to know why you are interested in pursuing public policy or whether you are the right fit for this program. And second, in case if you reach to the final stage of personal interview, you can definitely expect a question from our interview panelist based on your statement of purpose. So it becomes very important for you in order to show your say background and your interest in pursuing public policy in that section itself. So it will help you in two stages. So it is a very critical and important factor that you should like carefully weigh in and try to express your interest in public policy to the max in that section.
Also, just to confirm, Manu, this year we don't have a group discussion.
Yes, we only have two rounds. First is written round, and second is your personal interview round. So the things that we used to test in GD, like critical thinking, so we are testing it in our written test round. In fact, you will have to attempt one essay type question in which we will see your comprehension skills as well as critical thinking skills.
Thank you. One of the questions that's come up for Urvashi and Ram would be that if you could share some insights into some of the statistics from placements from the previous years, and what has the experience for our scholars been like during the placement season?
Could you be more specific on what statistics? So in terms of salary, we've already shared the range. The median, depending on the year, has fallen between 9 to 10. In terms of organizations, we've got 150 plus organizations participating with us throughout the year. If we can exactly get what exact statistic, Ram, would you like to add anything?
Actually, I think, so I think the information, as you rightly said, Urushi, that has been shared. But however, since I mentioned career support, okay, so something that should be kept in mind. Again, there is no guarantee or assurance. I think there was one question that I think that has a mention of assurity or something. We don't assure or guarantee placements, just making it very clear. In fact, no institution does. It all depends on, we provide support, all required support when it comes to career, showing career opportunities, reaching out to organizations, opening up networking opportunities for the scholars throughout the year. Few scholars actually happen to network, and through their own network, they were able to engage with the organization, and they've got placed. We have a history. Actually, few of our alumni got placed, just attending a few networking events and then attending competitions, hackathons. So that actually happened. Now, career support, we offer a lot of sessions, on, general career understanding in this particular space, public policy, what kind of opportunities, how to approach, how to prep up for these opportunities, whom to meet, and things like that. So on this front, as a career support team, there is definitely all required support and timely support is provided.
Just adding to Ram, if I can have a minute more, is one thing which you'll never find dearth of at ISPP is the kind of networking opportunities you'll get with external organizations, because the kind of network we have and also the kind of faculties we have and their network. what we can definitely give you is a foot at the door. But beyond that, as Ram also mentioned, that beyond that, it's your thing. Like beyond that, clearing it, getting finally selected with an organization is a 50-50% thing. It's a 50% effort of career support team. But post that, like 50% is your whatever learnings you've done in the entire course, your profile, how seriously you have prepared, how you were able to crack the interview. So it's a 50-50% thing. But in terms of career trainings also, like we do a lot of sessions also on professional development, on navigating interview questions, on how to write cover letters. So you'll get all kind of support, but the learning ultimately depends on how seriously you uh, attend those sessions. Obviously, attendance is a mandatory element here, like 75% attendance, but how serious you are and attentive you are, that would ultimately lead to your final placements.
One of the questions that is coming up is, whether person can do the Lokniti program first and then the PDM program. I would say that is an opportunity that's always available, because what the Lokniti program does is that it introduces you to public policy. So it's an introductory course, right? So in the slides I had mentioned that Lokniti offers about 90 hours of training. The 1 year program offers 1,750 plus hours of training, right? So just the amount, just the wealth of knowledge and learning that you'll get out of the PDM program is different. But what the Lokniti program does is that it builds the foundations. So it will train you in basic statistics, for example, in basic monitoring and evaluation, basic concepts of economics, which you can then build upon. So in the past, we've had a lot of applicants who've done the Lokniti program and then applied to the 1 year program. And my understanding is, and maybe Manu, you would want to step in here, is that having done the Lokniti program is certainly an advantage in the PDM admissions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen candidates who have done Lokniti program perform exceptionally well during the interview process. So it definitely comes in handy and it will give you an additional edge over other candidates.
Manu, because you mentioned interview, one question that had come up is that what kind of questions should we expect in the interview process? What is it like? So could you please explain a bit about
Yeah,
it?
so as I already stated, the main objective of the interview process is to assess your suitability and fit for the program. So I think you should be very clear in your head about why do you want to consider doing public policy at this point of time. Okay. So being a career counselor or being someone who is in this field for a long time, I always advise candidate that you should be very clear in order in terms of why do you want to pursue a certain program and why you are considering a certain institution. So why, in case if you get a chance to appear for personal interview process here, so you should be very clear about A, your interest in public policy, B, why are you considering ISPP. So it would always help you to do some basic research about ISPP. You should have a basic idea. We do not expect you to know about all the aspects in detail, but it is always wise to know at least some basic details so that you are able to convince the panelists as to why you are considering ISPP and what are your plans. And there can be some questions with respect to your background. So suppose in case if you have done bachelor's in economics, you can expect some questions from economics, basic questions, and likewise. So in case if you can just keep these few pointers in mind, I think you'll be able to do well in personal interview now.
So currently, I know we're also reaching towards the end of time. I'll request if the panelists can stay back for a few more minutes since we have a bunch of questions there. But just to adhere to the time
Right.
limit, one of the questions that's come up multiple times is also what exactly is being taught in the PDM program. So, as I mentioned earlier, the PDM program runs for 7 terms of 7 weeks each. Where in these starting terms, you introduce some core courses such as economics, statistics, critical thinking, design thinking. And following that, you get into some of the core sciences. These would be something like, say, economics of public policy, the politics of public policy. You'll also be introduced to domains, where you'll be asked to pick a certain number of domains out of 7 offerings, which will be in education, environment, health, infrastructure, technology, urbanization, and food systems and agriculture. So at the end of the entire program, what you will be expected to do is you have to submit a individual study report on one particular issue, where the idea is you've combined all your training from the program, be it in, say, economics, in politics, or otherwise, or in specific domains, and you've identified a particular policy problem and tried to solve it. You'll also, by the end of the program, also be working on an internship opportunity, where in collaboration with that organization, you'll have to submit a report on what was the problem that the organization was dealing with and how did you solve it. So in some sense, it's a blend of both theoretical and practice-based learning.
And
Yeah.
just before we wrap up this session, I think I came across one very interesting question, and it is asked by almost all the candidates that I interact. That, sir, what sets ISPP apart from other public policy institutions? There are many colleges which are offering public policy course. Why should we consider ISPP? So let me answer this, okay? And I will also ask my other panelists to add on points. So first of all, I am also from TISS. I am an alumni of TISS, so I know very well about this institute. So all of these great institutes, whether it's ISB, it's IIM, NLU, TIS, they are known for their other programs. Please remember that public policy is not their flagship program. ISB and IIM are known for their management programs. TIS is known for their social work program, their development studies program, their HR program. IITs are known for their engineering programs. ISPP is the only dedicated school of public policy in India that is offering courses in public policy. That is something that you should always keep in mind. Okay. Second thing is, because these institutes have a focus on a particular domain, so you will find these programs are heavily tilted towards one or the other side. So for example, ISB and IM, they are more tilted towards management side. And in case if you will just go through the syllabus of IIT Delhi also, they have a more focus on science and tech side of public policy. Likewise, TIS has a specific bias or bent over social issues. ISP, if you carefully evaluate ISPP curriculum, we try to evaluate a policy issue from all dimensions, whether it's social, whether it's economic, whether it's tech, whether it's environmental. So you get a total holistic view of looking at any policy issue. And we also take one through the entire life cycle of a policy, right from designing, planning, implementing, managing to monitoring and evaluating. So in case if you are looking to gain a substantial, holistic, and integrated knowledge about public policy, I think that clearly sets ISPP apart from other institutions. And in case if any of my panelists would like to add any other point.
Sure. So one point which we were just discussing and Ram mentioned was with regards to the just the opportunities that we offer. So as I had mentioned at the start, this year we have now expanded the scope of our partnership with the Harris School. So ISPP is the only program in the country which has such a unique collaboration with an international university, where the Harris School of Public Policy at the University of Chicago, not only do the scholars in the one-year program have the opportunity to earn an additional certificate from the Harris School of Public Policy by attending 10 lectures and submitting the assignments, they also now have the opportunity that once they graduate from the ISPP program, they can go and opt for a master's program at the Harris School of Public Policy. And if they get into the program, it will be fully funded for them. So there's a specific ISPP Harris scholarship that has been put into place for all alums of ISPP. So if you're able to get into a master's program at the Harris School and you're an alum of ISPP, your your training will be fully funded over there. So your tuition fee will be waived off. So that's also the kind of unique partnership that ISPP has gotten into. But to build on that further, also the strength I like to mention again is just the fact that none of these other schools are based in Delhi. ISPP is based in Delhi. And what that allows us to do is just to be able to offer a bouquet of opportunities and scope for collaboration. So, in fact, I was just recently having a discussion where if you look at the policy space, if you take any particular industry, right? You will have, say, a technology firm, because you're discussing, say, Google. They may have issues at the local level, state level, national level, and even international level. However, all of their dealings would have to be through the Ministry of Information and Technology. And at the same time, you will want a student who's trained in core public policy. Why? Because this organization will want somebody who's able to understand economic risk. They will want somebody who's able to understand political risk. They'll also want somebody who's able to understand sociological risk, right? Furthermore, they'll want somebody who can understand legal risk. And lastly, they'll want somebody who can understand environmental risk, right? So think of it from the perspective of an organization, where if you want somebody who's working in the policy space, you want them to be able to tell you if there is a union problem that is going to happen, if there's a problem due to climate change that is going to affect the organization. And none of the other programs offer you that depth of information and that depth of training, where you'll be trained in this range of issues, right? Be it understanding economics, politics, environment, health, infrastructure, technology. So this range of issues, right? So thinking of it from an organizational perspective also, what the program trains you to do is to be a generalist across a range of services, right? So you will be able to advise and guide, be it ministries, organizations, or corporates across a range of issues, given your policy knowledge. So you're not trained just in legal issues, right? For an organization, you're not just going to be there to be able to tell them what does the data privacy law allow you to do or not allow you to do, right? You'll, as a public policy graduate from ISPP, you'll be able to tell the organization what are the issues with the law in terms of its implementation, whether it will get implemented. If it does get implemented, what are the different stakeholders and how are they going to react to the implementation? If you as an organization do not follow that law in particular, what are the possible risks that you run, right? So that kind of training is very different from a legalistic training or a tech training. So that is the advantage that you get at ISPP. Lastly, one question, and now that we are also running out of time, is to wrap up is how much is the one-year program mathematically oriented? Will there be assistance provided to students who have not taken up maths during their +2? And can you elaborate on the written test? Let me come in on the maths part, and Manu, maybe I'll request if you could answer the question with regards to the written test. So the program is not at all mathematical. What we want you to know is to be able to do basic addition, multiplication, subtractions, and so on, to be able to understand what these different concepts mean, and to not get scared by formulae, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, the ISPP program is interdisciplinary. So you have courses which are more sociological, such as management of societies. You've also got courses which are traditionally seen to be maths heavy, such as economics. But you can ask any of our alums or even a current scholar to check how mathematical is economics, and they'll tell you not one formula was ever used, right? Because the idea is we don't want you to become mathematicians. We want you to become policymakers. We want you to understand the implications of issues, right? So there is no clear preference for somebody who understands mathematics, right? However, we do want you to be able to work with it, right? So we don't want you to be scared of it. That's the only requirement per se. Manu, if you can also connect that with the written test.
So just to give you one more data point, so almost 40% of our students are from arts and humanities background. So don't worry about it. In case had it been that difficult, they would not have been able to secure a seat in our program. However, one should, I'll just give you one perspective. Okay, so we always focus on evidence-based, data-driven policy making. And though we do not expect you to be proficient in mathematics, but you should have a basic comfort in dealing with numbers. Because in case if you are, to be honest, in case if you are working on a policy issue and you are afraid of numbers, there is a possibility that you may struggle. So we just want you to uh, give you basic training or just give you an insight as to you should be comfortable in terms of dealing with basic numbers and basic mathematical functions. That's it. So even the kind of questions we ask in our test are very easy in nature. In case if you just can go to your NCERT textbook and practice it, I'm sure you will be able to secure more than 50% marks in quantitative aptitude test. and that will sail you through the quant part of the test. So also strategy wise, you should not try to solve all the questions. I'm again telling you again and again, and this thing I tell to all the prospective applicants. They sometimes just get into the groove of solving all the questions. No, this is also a test of your management skills. How can you identify and pick at least 50% of the questions that you can solve and move to the next section? So please keep in mind, you should always identify and pick the easy ones. And then in case if you feel confident that you have solved 50% of the questions, I would strongly suggest you to move to the next question and come back again if time permits. So this, in case if you just follow this step and strategy, I strongly believe that you will be able to clear the test.
Thank you. Manu, also, once somebody gets through the application stage and are invited to the test stage, do they get additional information on the test?
Yes, so we also provide a sample test paper so that you can see what kind of questions are being asked in the test. And generally, I keep questions with moderate level of difficulty. So in case if you are able to solve that question paper, most probably you will be able to solve the actual test paper.
So once you enroll in the program and you're actually there, you will get access to a whole range of sort of sample papers and testing tools to help you prepare for it. And of course, you will have the guidance. You'll have Manu's guidance to help you prepare
Yes.
for the interview, right?
You can
So that
always
will
reach out to me for anything related to a written test, personal interview, anything that you want to.
Right. So with that, we've exceeded our time limit a little bit. So we'll come to a close for today. I'd like to thank all the panelists for taking out their time for joining us today and answering all the queries. And I'd like to also thank all the participants for having taken time out on a Saturday evening to attend this session. We'll organize more and more of these events so that you understand and familiarize yourself better with ISPP and a range of offerings. You're also more than welcome to come to the campus and have an in-person meeting with any of us. We'll be more than happy to have any discussions with you that you may have, be it about the program itself, but also to better understand public policy in India and what are the different opportunities and paths available. Any of the panelists, if you'd like to say a few parting words?
I mean, thank you so much for attending, taking your time and attending. Really enjoyed the session, especially Manu, Dhruva, and Urvashi. Some points I think quite interesting. To listen to your responses to the kind of questions and the good questions asked. And looking forward to seeing you all, one day at our campus and meeting you all soon. All the best.
Just before we wrap up, I would like to restate that one thing that we value and we promote as part of our culture is a supportive environment. So we do not want you to have any inhibitions in terms of approaching us. At any point of time, in case if you feel that something is bothering you, you want to get on a detailed conversation. So rest assured that admissions team at ISPP is always approachable. You can always approach me before, during, or after the session or after the selection process as well. I'll be more than happy to guide you throughout the process. That's it.
Urvashi, any parting words?
No, thank you everyone for joining. I mean, very interesting questions. There was this entire discussion about the USP of ISPP, and there are so many things which the panelists have already stated. One thing which I was thinking is, and I wanted to make it as a closing remark only, is I think there are a lot of benefits of joining ISP, but one thing that is our USP is the kind of faculty we have and the kind of network we have. So if you look at the faculty itself, I mean, these people have been the part of policy making journey of India. So they've seen that period of policy evolution in India. I think that kind of exposure, not just for scholars, but for us as a team, I mean, it's rare to find. So yeah, so that ways, I think, I mean, I actually feel very delighted to be part of ISPP because of the exposure we get of meeting people which we would have never imagined. So that's something that is my takeaway, but thanks.
That's true. Actually, you'll have some of the conversations, and once you do join ISPP, you'll have conversations with faculty members, and they'll, in passing, say, "Oh yeah, I was sitting with XYZ, and they just said that," and you'd be like, "XYZ is such a senior figure in policy making," and they're just having casual conversations with them over dinner, over chai, or what have you. So that's the network that you get into. But we look forward to seeing you at the ISPP campus very soon, and to help you become a policy leader for a rising India. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.